Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hi,
Hi.
William.
Hi. Uh, okay.
25.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi,
Hi,
everybody.
Ivan.
Hi. Thanks, everybody online right now watching us at this point of time. Uh, it's a very nice, cool day today. And I'm glad to have Joseph and Ivan and myself to share with you guys everything about the 50mm, the new 50mm f1.0 lens. I'm sure a lot of you will have read, heard, or seen about the lens, and some of you might have been anticipating for this lens for the longest time. So I guess the three of us were fortunate enough, for to be able to be the first users in Singapore to actually try out the lens, test out the lens. So feel free to ask us any questions regarding the lens. And at the same time, we will also share with you guys our experiences when using this lens. And yeah, so maybe maybe Ivan can maybe share with us first about what you have experienced with the lens.
Okay. Before I start, I think all you guys should just take out your credit card, whether Amex, Visa, Master, just get ready. Get out of this place because you'll get poisoned. All right? I want to be clear about that. So, like what William said, we are very fortunate to test out this new lens. It is an amazing lens. Like if everything in life, there is also the good. Hello, Summer. Yeah. Okay. Just take your mask. Yeah. Okay. So there is a advantages, a lot more advantages and disadvantages in this lens. So the good thing about this lens is, I feel, of course, is the f1. I'm going to let the picture do some talking as I move along to show you. There's no point talking about how great it is or whatever it is. It's the picture at the end of the day that makes the difference, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes, you're right. I
yeah.
think it's a good lens.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen.
Okay.
Is it there? Can you see it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, this is the lens. Okay, it is not small. If you guys are street photographers, it's not small. If you do portrait wildlife, like William, this lens is nothing. William carries a bigger lens, and both of them uses the GFX 100. So I guess this is nothing. So to me, at 850 grams, it is not crazy. It is not light, but it's neither is it heavy. It's not a deal breaker to me. Okay. So this is when I first get the lens, I try to do some portrait shots naturally because I feel it is only the strength of this lens is probably to shoot portraits from a very traditional perspective, right? I like how the bokeh is being rendered. It's very creamy and smooth because there's some that has a lot of there's some lenses a bit more, it renders differently, a bit more messy in that sense, but this is actually very smooth, which I like it very much. And you can see at this picture, I try to shoot the reflection of the building, of the pre-war houses in the Arab Street. You can see the depth difference in terms of how the separation is between the background and the door.
So Ivan, just now the portrait shot, right?
Yeah.
Was it shot at f1.0?
Yes, option 1.0. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people, all these years, all the fast lenses, right? Whether is it 1.2, 1.4, whatever. There's always a lot of people who always got this issue. They always say, you shoot at f1.2, for example, or in this case 1.0. You only one of the eyes is sharp, the other part of the eye is not sharp. What do you think about this? A lot of people always complain about such things. And I guess between the three of us, I mean, of course, Joseph and myself, we shoot portraits also, but I guess Ivan, you shoot probably much more portraits than both of us. So what do you think about all those comments?
Okay, those are true. I mean, imagine if you use a f1.2 lens in a full frame, you probably have even greater depth. It's narrower, so like the eyeball and the eyelashes, they'll be completely blurred, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is this, at f1, technically in full frame is probably only 1.4. Actually, it's a very good, forgiving, workable lens. Because of course, if you turn the eyes a bit to the left, a bit to the right, like you see this part here, you can see it's a bit blurry on the right side of his text. So if you are doing portraits, make sure the two eyes are looking at you. Right? That's only logical, right?
Yep, definitely.
Like let's say William does a lot of wedding. So if the client understand that you will blur off, then that's fine. If not, you just make sure the bride or the groom are in the same plane so that both are sharp at the same point. So the probably the head need to look towards you, and then it's a lot safer.
Yeah, that's definitely very good sharing, because I'm sure a lot of the people watching us right now, they have this question on their mind also, because they will be thinking, hey, if I shoot at f1.0, if I use the f1.0 lens and shoot at f1.8, then what's the point of getting an f1.0 lens? But that's very good sharing on your part also. At least for a lot of new users. Hobbyists, sometimes they might not know, because they always read online comments about such things. Then they say, oh yeah, why I blur, why I sharp, is it good or is it bad? Yeah.
So like for example, this picture I just put up, her left eye is sharp. It goes beyond that, actually it's blurred already. So it depends on the person's individual, how he wants to tell his story or what he wants to do, he or she want to do with the photographs.
Yep.
So there's no right or wrong. It depends on how you want to share your story, build your story in the photographs.
But nice shot. I love this, the shadows, the light and everything.
I like it. The feel is very good. Actually, sometimes we don't really need to have all sharp. For me, it's more on feel. I find that in this picture itself, the kind of feel that you give it to me is like very cinematic kind of look, and it's like just kind of like a frame from the video, the kind of feel. So it's very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So as I move on, let's see the next picture. So I did some like so-called wildlife. I'm nowhere close to William, but it's just my evening walk by Ulu Pandan. So I took this shot, and then the blur part on the top and bottom is actually just the railing. So I thought it just give a bit of feel to it. So it's fun lens to play as I move along. So while I wait for a traffic light, you just have fun shooting the rear mirror to play the bokeh a bit. So I stay in the west, so it's a gimbal market in the morning, so I shot. So I felt that it renders very well, it's sharp, edge to edge, you can look at this picture, and then the blurriness of the raindrop is actually quite fun to work with this lens. This is also my evening walk. I saw this civet cat in the night, so I just shot it. It's actually quite big. Okay, I can't say much about wildlife because the expert is around here. So but this is wildlife.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yes.
No, I was just thinking that the civet cat, do you bring it back home? I think with the coffee bean.
Yeah. A lot of people say they'll grow some coffee plants around nearby this Ulu Pandan neighborhood. Yeah. So this was a restaurant that I shot. I thought it renders beautifully about this lens. It's sharp. Okay. The autofocus is fast. It's quick. It's reliable. That's the word I want to say, compared to, let's say, the 56. All right. This is a lot more reliable. All right.
Yep.
Especially in the darker condition, I get a lot higher, much higher hit rate. That's for sure. That's one of the selling points as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Like some outdoor scene, just testing the bokeh, the depth. This was like a traffic light waiting, just general shot, but the lens performed beautifully, sharp, right? It's sharp.
Nice.
So while waiting for my wife at this traffic light, what's interesting is the lady wearing the Bermudas, she was at the traffic light helping to ferry people across.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she's like I was waiting for her. She did like 4 times ferrying people across.
Oh, serious? So she's like your paid model.
Yeah, 4 times. Yeah.
She does the same thing over and over again. Plus, I think she knows that you're shooting with a new lens.
Yeah, I think so.
So she wants you to try out on her.
Yes, yeah. So you can see the bokeh at the beach. It renders beautifully. It doesn't feel messy. It feels creamy. Yeah. So like I bumped into my friend on the street. She's going to the gym, and I said, "Hey, can I get a shot of you?" So this is a shot where the 2 eyes are on the same plane, so it's a lot sharper. So as you can see, it's sharp, right? So it renders well, controls very well. and the background is actually quite messy. Look at how it renders at Haji Lane area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like if you like art stuff, like I think it's quite nice, like a tree, and then you can have the moon on far end. The bokeh is beautiful, how it actually renders. So like this is a full length shot, so you can see how well the sharpness of the photo and how it renders, right? So the only disadvantage that I've experienced is at f1 in broad daylight, even at shooting at 1/32,000, I can't stop down the light. It's too bright. So the only thing that is essential for me, like I mentioned in my blog, you need an ND filter. Without an ND filter for outdoor, you need because you need to cut down a few stops because it's just too bright. So this is actually essential if you are going to buy the lens. All right.
I'm sure. I mean, especially in a bright sunny day, your shots is definitely gonna get overexposed at f1.0. Yeah.
I can imagine, like William, you go to like those northern hemisphere, those snow places. I think maybe you need more than 5 stops, man.
Well, definitely. But it depends also. I mean, depends on what I shoot as well.
Yeah. Of course.
Definitely shooting portraiture, that would be an issue. But what do you think about the focal length at 50mm, which is effectively about 75mm? How do you feel about the focal length? Because I know for Ivan and myself, both of us have the 56mm f1.2 APD. So, but in terms of focal length, what how do you feel about it?
I don't feel any much difference actually to me. I think it's perfectly fine to me. I think it's still a portrait lens as far as I'm concerned. I think that's its strength. It's meant to shoot portraits. In its primary purpose to shoot portrait. Of course, you can shoot like what I just did in this picture.
Yeah.
It's just a street shot of this guy was holding an XT3. Yeah, just I just did a shot of him while he was shooting in a jewel. So it still works fine for street. I think it's still a general purpose lens. I mean, I was at the East Coast Beach. I just did some panning shot. It works well. Some abstract shot of a HDB block. It still works well. It depends on how you apply onto it, actually, right? Like all lenses.
Definitely, but so maybe Joseph, what do you think about the focal length at 50mm? How does it feel? Because initially, Ivan mentioned it in his video also. Because initially it was supposed to be a 33mm f1.0, right?
Yes, by right it should be 33mm f1.0 lens, but after that, they decided to do 50.
Yeah, they became a 50mm. So, but for Joseph, I mean, as a travel photographer as well, this focal length, how do you feel about it?
For me, I think that this lens itself, the focal length is about 75mm on the full frame. I think it's okay. It gives me the kind of depth that I want, actually. It's slightly just a little bit more focused. It will actually concentrate more on the subject that you want to actually shoot. That's the key thing. And this lens itself is actually not very big in size as compared to, of course, my other lenses that I have. So it's like almost similar kind of weight. So I find that it is okay. Yeah, correct. But the key thing is it's a f1. So I expect it to be much more heavier, of course, because of the amount of lenses inside this, a number of glasses inside this lens. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe Joseph can share with us some of your experiences, when you're using this lens, maybe some of your pictures and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So, before I come into the pictures, I just want to check with both of you is that, so now the f1 lens is out. So I believe that both of you own the 1.2 56 1.2 lens, right? So what are you going to do with it?
So sorry, what did you say again? The last part.
So because the new f1 50mm f1 lens is out, so I believe that both of you have the 56 f1.2 the APD. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, will you be changing it? Yeah.
Okay, Ivan, why not you answer the question first?
This is a much better quality used lens. Yeah. So I for me, I would actually I will be getting the F1 because I felt that it's a much faster lens. Um, I love the F1 bokeh of it. Okay. Of course, this is a lot smaller compared to the
50.
50 F1. Okay. But what I love about the 50 is because the AF is a lot faster, sharper, weather sealed, perfect for you both to go around the world. You know, for me, I'm just local, but it's perfect. So, having said that, who wants to buy this lens? I'm not selling. I have a manager, which is Joseph. Anything, contact him. Then he
Yeah.
will negotiate a price and come to me.
Yeah,
So
to add,
basically,
add
I
on
am the manager to sell these two lenses. Yeah, correct.
to add on to what Ivan has said, um, definitely, I think I would love to have this lens as well. Because firstly, I'm sure a lot of you know that besides shooting travel, wildlife, and everything, I'm effectively also a portrait photographer and wedding photographer as well. So for weddings, for wedding photographers, you guys would know sometimes we go early in the morning or even during ballroom settings and stuff like that. To be able to shoot at f1.0, is definitely something that we crave for because we don't have to worry about backlighting, or the place is too dark and we cannot take our pictures. So a lot of times when I take the pictures with this lens, I don't even have to push up the ISO to what 3002 or whatever. But even if I have to, um, I at least I can get a very good shutter speed at the ISO that I'm using, and definitely the f1.0 lens help a lot compared to say a f1.2. Although some people say the 0.2 does not make much of a difference, but wait till you use it. Yeah,
Yeah, true.
I got a feeling of wedding photographers will snap out all the lens.
yeah, definitely. I mean, of course, now I really got no idea what is the pricing like. But seriously, I think for wedding photographers, whatever portrait photographers, I think this is a perfect lens for you because it actually there's a lot of benefits to it. I mean, the only complaint, like maybe it's the weight, but I mean, yes, it's heavier, but is it that heavy? No. Heavier doesn't mean that it's not doesn't mean that it's not doable. Yeah, so when we say it's heavier, that's compared to a 56 1.2, but definitely it's a lens that is doable. And of course, like Ivan, I do have my very used 56 lens as well.
My condition is better. Look, 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 look.
So that means my price can be cheaper.
One of the lens, the price will be priced slightly higher, and the other will be slightly lower. So we will be waiting for a bid basically. So you can actually put the comments, and then just or PM me that I will help you to actually negotiate the pricing with them. Yeah.
So anyway, jokes aside, this is what difference you're looking at between the 56 and the 50. Of course, on my right hand side is the 50, on my left hand side is the 56. There is definitely a difference, but of course, wait till the lens is available at the showroom. You guys should have a look at it and see what is that what is so amazing about the 50mm 1.0 lens. Yeah. Yep. So maybe Joseph, you can share with us your experiences. I mean, for
Yeah.
somebody who also travel around the globe, taking pictures, share with us some images that you have taken with this lens and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me share with you some of the photos that I've taken during the testing period. It's actually during the time it's embargo, so it's like actually not supposed to show all those pictures that I've taken. So this is one of the photos that I've taken during the fireworks. I was waiting for the fireworks basically on NDP day. Then I actually took out and shoot one of my fellow photographers. So you can basically see that this taken during sunset timing. and the light actually falls onto the face and then onto the body itself, and it gives me a very contrasting kind of shot. And you can see the bokeh behind is very creamy and very soft. The person is actually sharp. Yep. So it's like you can see that the focus is perfectly fast, and then for me, I find that using this particular lens, the first thing that impressed me is the autofocus. It's like, well, first thing when you hear F1, oh my god, the focusing is going to be very bad. It's that it's very hard to focus. But the thing is that with this lens, the autofocus is actually very fast and accurate. Yeah, so that is my first feel, because I don't really use the XF lens, because I primarily use the GFX camera. So ST4, ST3, and the XF lens I actually don't really use much. But the first feel that actually comes to me is that, wow, this lens is good, and the bokeh itself is like, wow, it's like it actually impressed me, because I've used other competitor brands. I mean the 0.9 something one, so that lens. So of course we cannot say the brand, so I think you all will know. Yeah. So it's manual focus, and it is how should I put it? It's very soft. So I know that it's so hard for me to get accurate. So sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you get it wrong. Because it's manual focus. But for this lens, you won't find any of all these kind of problem. That is for me. So one shot, when I just click onto I just make sure that the focusing point is on the face, on the eyes, and then you will just get a pinpoint shot. Basically, that's the thing, right? So this is one of the photo, and the other shot, same thing as well. You can see is taken at the other side of the corridor. I use the plant as a foreground, so that to showcase like the bokeh effect, and of course you can see that when the light falls onto the face, it gives you a very contrasty effect. It's actually very comfortable. When I look at this picture, it's a very comfortable kind of picture. So for me, it can be a daily kind of lens, to be very frank. I feel that this lens is not just mainly for portraiture, but it can be for daily shots. Not just purely for portraiture, right? It can be for street as well. And during the night, actually, this is not the night. This during sunset timing, I actually use the F1 to actually shoot this panorama. I just stitched about nine different photos together using the Lightroom. So I shoot in the vertical mode. So basically, I showed it nine shots, and I actually stitch it together. So sometimes, people will ask me, why do you need to use F1 to shoot it? You can use F16 or whatever, it will be sharper. My reason is that a lot of time when we travel, sometimes we do not have a nice spot. So we are always standing behind someone will be in front of us, so we are always behind. So what can we do? And it's a sunset timing. We cannot put any tripod and stuff like that. So we have to make use of different kind of ways to actually shoot. Of course, in this case, I'm using extreme end. It's F1. But if I want to have a sharper picture, I'll probably use an F2 or a 2.8. So it will give me that kind of sharpness that I want on the buildings and stuff like that. Okay, but so normally when I do not have any space and stuff like that, so I will actually use this technique, and I open up all the way to the largest aperture, and I will absorb all the light to come in and give me that kind of feel. You can actually see from this shot itself. I'm going to zoom in. Actually, the sharpness is there using an F1. The building itself is actually sharp. But the thing is that when the lights fall off, it has a little bit, you can see over here, it becomes softer. It becomes a little bit softer behind. So this is the effect and the feel that I want. So this is one of the technique, probably I can share with everyone, is that if you want to have a softer kind of photos for travel or landscape, try to use a large aperture and shoot it. And this shot is actually of when the the light is actually very dim. If I'm going to put it on an F16 or F11 to shoot it, it probably gives me about, I probably need to shoot about maybe 8 seconds or so in order for me to get the color out. But the thing is that the color will not be this soft. Yeah, correct. It will not be that soft. So if you want to have that kind of feel to it, then you can actually try to use a large aperture to actually shoot it. Yeah, but of course, in this, when you shoot using a large aperture, there are pros and cons also. First is that you will find that the subject, I mean, this is the subject itself, is the building. It is going to be a little bit soft. It's going to be a little bit soft, and but it is still sharp enough. I mean, do you think it's sharp, William?
I guess also depends on individual, in the end, whether you want to print out very big or not and things like that. I guess
Yeah.
uh, it's advantageous for that kind of urgent cases where you might not have the tripod or whatever. But I guess
Yeah.
maybe for certain landscape photographers, for example, they might want to have it sharp, corner by corner, and
Correct.
print it out. Yeah.
True. So that's the reason. That's why I say is that sometimes when there is a situation where it is really we got no. I mean, is as what William has said is like urgent. I mean, urgent. I got no. I got no more space in front or whatever, so I can use this kind of technique. But of course, when you do a large print, then it's going to be different case, like, I mean, different thing. Then when it's not sharp, then of course, it will be not so good on prints. But for iPad and stuff like that, it looks nice actually. Yeah. So this is one of the I mean techniques that I can share with the viewers basically. All right. And I actually show off my friend as well. So this particular photo, it doesn't have any lighting. It's very blank because it's quite a cloudy day, so it doesn't have any lighting on the face, so it looks a bit more flat. But the bouquet behind actually it separates the person and the background basically. So, and if you have let's say some lighting on the face, that it will give you more contrast and it's actually nicer. Yeah. So that comes to my point is that when you shoot with this lens itself, I find that lighting is very important. So as long as you have the light on the subject itself, everything will be nice, very nice. Yeah. And I took this shot is actually I know that this is not going to be a fast shot. Yeah, it's 1/20 second. You can see that it's 1/20 second. F1, 1/20 second. Of course, I'm using the extreme cases. What I did is that I'm going to do the ISO 80, the lowest ISO, and then F1. So I want to show that people will ask, so is this lens, does it come with stabilizer? So I don't think it comes with the OIS, right? It doesn't have the, it doesn't come with the stabilizing, right, for this lens?
No.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Yeah. So, but this, what is the slowest speed that I can go? Yeah. So some of the shots that I can handheld at 1/20 second. Some of the shots I do at 1/3 second. Yeah. So basically, I think that the EBs probably also helps a bit on. Yeah, correct. Or maybe it's my hand is stable.
I guess what's very important is I guess in all these years, especially when we do a lot of workshops and stuff like that, a lot of participants, a lot of students, they're always very afraid of pushing the ISO much higher. But of course, it's never a real concern with cameras these days. But with this lens, especially at F1.0, like I mentioned earlier on, definitely, in terms of ISO, we can still maintain it relatively low in very tricky lighting conditions. So, like I say, even for wedding photographers, especially when we have to shoot in very dark lightings, dark surroundings, this lens definitely helps a lot in achieving our images. Yeah, so like what Joseph shared over here, I guess he's definitely pushing it a lot at ISO 80 and see what kind of images you can get even with a shutter speed and definitely it helps a lot in the images. Yeah.
Yeah. Correct. So basically, for me, I'm trying to push the extreme ends. Basically, so it's like I'm trying to push and see how. Of course, if I will be able to stabilize myself using a higher ISO, let's say ISO 800. I definitely I'm able to do it like 1/60 second. But I would like to try to see what is the minimum speed that I can actually push myself to handheld to hold the lens basically. So yeah, so this is one of the point. And with this shot itself, it's actually more like it's a cityscape. So basically, besides switching portraiture, I'm also using it to show the blue hours cityscape. I actually put the camera on the railing. So actually, I place it on the railing and I use half a second to shoot this particular shot. And you can see that I'm using an f2.5 instead of f1 because I know the f1 is not going to be as sharp because of the softness will be there. So I actually try to use slightly higher aperture, and you can find that when you reach about f2.8 to f4, it's actually pretty sharp for low light. You can see the sharpness will be there. Yeah. So yep. So f two point f2.5 for aperture for this particular photo itself is going to be sharp. Yeah, take sharp. And for me, I find that the sharpest point is actually from f4 to f8, around that range. So do you find that Ivan? What do you think about the sharpness of the lens? Because I think the f1 for me, I think the f1 is slightly softer, and f16 is also a little bit soft as well. But the thing is that the sharpest point, both in all the lenses actually have a sharpest point. So for me, I find that in this particular lens, the sharpest point is around f4 to f 5.6 actually, around 4 up to 5.6 is those kind of like wow, very sharp. Yeah. So then the f1 is sharp, but then of course it gives the kind of a bokeh feel. But you need the lighting. But if let's say for generic wise, I find that it's f4. But what do you think?
For me, actually, I only shot this lens at f1 all the way. Only once or twice by accident I click it. It became f1.3 still. So I can only comment up to f1.3.
Okay. Okay.
I'm the same with Ivan. I mean, when I was using this lens, I just want to push the limits of this lens. So actually, most of my shots were shot with at f1.0, and like what Ivan did, accidentally I might change to 1.2 or 1.1, but that is really an accident. But otherwise, I'm always shooting at f1.0.
Okay.
So, well, I'm not very sure which was the sharpest point, but to me, like what Ivan shared earlier on with some of the portraiture at f1.0 is definitely very sharp, and it's something that I really enjoy so much that I wouldn't even think of shooting at any other aperture for this lens, unless of course I'm really shooting a landscape shot with this lens. But again, for a landscape shot, I probably have a lot of other lenses that I can use on.
Yeah.
But with this lens, unless when I travel, I only have this lens with me. So I have no other lenses. Then yes, I will have to try out different things. Like when I was testing this lens, I was just using this lens on a variety of kind of pictures. So definitely, I did not try other apertures and stuff like that. But of course, it's good that Joseph also the three of us do it differently. So of course, Joseph was shooting a different aperture. At least he knows that he can share with us at which aperture was the sharpest and stuff like that. So I guess it's also good, definitely, that all three of us are testing it independently. So at least things that Joseph might have thought of or Ivan thought of, I didn't think of testing it. So definitely is good in the sense, yeah. But maybe I can show some pictures as well. Like I say, usually for me, most of you will know that I'm a travel photographer and a wedding photographer. So I definitely need a lens that can shoot in dark environments. So of course, cameras, good cameras are definitely important as well. To shoot at high ISO, wouldn't get too noisy, etc., etc. But with this lens, as I mentioned a lot of times, in the last half an hour, it helps a lot that I don't have to push up the ISO. So actually, for this lens, what I did was I did a lot of street photos with this lens in the night actually. So instead of doing portraiture, because I guess a lot of people would think that this lens is a portraiture lens, definitely and rightfully so. But I also like to try doing other kind of photography instead of just portraiture. So trying out in the night, going out in the streets in the night to see what I can achieve with this lens. But before I go to that, I have a question that just came in, probably applicable to Ivan and myself. Somebody was asking, should I sell my 56mm APD and buy this lens? Ivan?
Don't sell. In the market, there should only be two lenses selling, William and mine. Don't sell. Just add your collection in, get the 50mm and keep your 56. They have both two lenses have its purpose, right, William?
Yes, definitely. So seriously, I mean, what do you think? I mean, to such a question.
To me, the disadvantage for the 50mm is the weight to some. But to me, the advantage has a lot more. The focusing, like William, when you shoot in the dark, that's compared to the 56, is a world of difference. We nail the shot a lot more time. So that alone to me is important. At F1, it's sharp at F1. And people are worried about like the bokeh or the blurriness between the left eye and the right eye. I felt that this lens is actually not like full frame, which is very unforgiving. This lens is actually quite forgiving. And you must know the strength and how to use this tool, so-called this lens. You will actually reap great results if you know how to apply it correctly. So I would say, if you have the means, take out your credit card and just buy it. It's a great lens. I will buy it myself. That's why I'm selling my 56.
I guess it's to me at least it's a no-brainer. I mean, of course, if money is not a concern, again, I don't know what's the price of this lens, but it's a no-brainer. I will definitely sell my 56 APD and get this lens. I guess initially when I got the APD lens compared to the normal 56 1.2, it's also because APD renders nicer bokeh and stuff like that. But of course, we know that APD is slightly slower in focusing.
Yes.
And now with the 50mm, it satisfies our desires. Faster focusing, nicer bokeh.
Exactly.
The price is not exorbitant. Why not? Yeah. So to me, it's a no-brainer.
Price in the US, they're showing it at 1499 at this point. So I don't think it's very far off in Singapore, I guess.
Yeah, it's actually very affordable. I mean, in my point of view, compared to the other brands, okay, I think that this is like a steal, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, so
very affordable F1. It's actually the cheapest F1 lens. Like I was doing a video, and one of the guys was just looking at a picture of the lens. He said it actually reminded him of the Zeiss Optus lens. I said, yeah, I guess it's probably the same category, like just different size and purpose. Probably this is Fuji's version of Optus lens, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So maybe would you want to share your pictures?
Share some images. So okay, like I mentioned, I was mainly using this lens in the night and stuff like that. So two things I want to test. How fast is the focusing, which we have talked a lot about it.
William here. William in the night always like to go shopping and buy expensive things. I can tell from this photo.
Yeah, I can tell that too. Wow, it's like Prada, maybe especially LV already. Yeah.
He needs a Prada bag for the new lens. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can only see and take picture. I cannot buy. Okay. Anyway, so when I was standing over here to take the pictures, two things that come to my mind because somebody walked past. Even I want to think whether I can take the silhouette, whether it is sharp and things like that. Another thing is that if you notice the background, the background behind the silhouette is actually quite messy. So sometimes we do experience where, with a lot of cameras, lenses, or whatever, it starts to hunt because cannot focus, etc., etc. Unless, of course, the person is stationary. So I was trying it for a few minutes. Some people walking past, I was trying to take some shots, and surprisingly, images were sharp, and of course, managed to focus it correctly. It doesn't have to hunt between the backlit situation and the silhouette and stuff like that. So of course, sometimes it could be a user fault also when we get blur images. So I actually stayed for about maybe 10-15 minutes to get a few more shots to ensure, when things are good, is it because the lens is good or because, we do it correctly or whatever. So I guess in this case, to me, definitely the lens helped a lot in terms of focusing because, Ivan shared a lot of times just now, if I'm using a 56mm 1.2 on this scenario, it probably hunts a bit more, and my hit rate might not be as high. Yeah. So going around in the night and getting more picthes, I was actually shooting across the roads and stuff like that. So what I see here was suddenly a bus stopped in front of me. So very challenging lighting, backlit situation. So I saw the driver, and sometimes again with backlit situation, with silhouette shots like that, it might hunt a bit as well. So I'm quite happy that the images turned out sharp and focus was fast. So I don't have to worry too much about it. And first, then when it comes to bokeh, bokeh, like what Ivan has mentioned and even Joseph has mentioned, is amazing. So for the bokeh shots, I actually took some shots in the day as well to see how it looks like, and you can really see how the image actually pop up from the background. So of course, this was taken in Chinatown, where tends to be a bit crowded over there sometimes, but you can really see how the image pops out. I did not really bring my 56mm lens out there to shoot the same shot to compare. But having used the 56mm APD lens since its launch, which was like a couple of years ago, right, Ivan?
Yeah.
That was, I think, at least 4 years ago. I still remember. I do know the characteristics of the 56 1.2 APD lens. So on this lens, I definitely see the difference. But of course, a lot of times, whatever we share, people might say we try to sell koyo and stuff like that. So, but whoever out there who is using an APD lens, a 56mm lens, when you try this lens, you will know the difference. Yeah, and of course, later on, maybe Ivan can also share with us some comparison as well on the images. Then, of course, walking around Chinatown, besides shooting all these people shots and things like that, I try to get some shots that is probably a bit more landscape. I wouldn't say landscape, but scenery shots. So images like this was shot with this lens as well. Yeah, so which I really enjoy because I guess the lens worked very nicely, in all aspects, and very versatile lens as well. Like I say, most people probably associate this lens as a portraiture lens and stuff like that. But a lot of people always like to ask this question: if you only have one lens with you, what lens will you use? And if there's only one lens you can use, can this lens shoot this, shoot that, or whatever? So I would say with this lens, I can shoot a variety of pictures. I do not restrict myself to just portraiture because as all of you know, also I do a lot of travel pictures. So definitely I have to think about whether if I bring a lens like that, besides shooting portraiture, what else can I do with it? So of course, then I try out some panning shots, which I really love it. these panning shots were shot at f1.0. Okay, frankly, when I do panning shots all these years, I do not shoot at the biggest aperture. I shoot at f4, f5.6, whatever, 2.8 maybe. But this was shot at f1.0 panning shots, and I love how it really pops out. I mean, panning shots as it is, usually we get certain pop-up shots because of the motion blur at the back and stuff like that. But with this at f1.0, I just feel, I mean, of course, that's my personal opinion. I really love how the image pops out. And to be sure, it's not just a fluke image. I took a bit more panning shots as well, not just one, not just two. I took a lot more panning shots to see, whether it does give me that kind of feel and that kind of effect all round or not. So this another shot, and the different background. And even this, I love it. At f1.0, the panning shot, the image really pops up, and it's still definitely very sharp on the face, on the eyes, and things like that. So I definitely enjoy shooting with it. So again, another image of panning shots, just to show. Yeah, at f1.0 panning shot, this is what you can get. So I really got no complaints about it, and it's definitely something that I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy using as well. Even on another shot, panning shot of a cyclist, not just motorcyclists, motorcycles and things like that, but cyclists. Yeah, still amazing. Yeah, so all these are shot at f1.0, so you can really see the difference. And I really have to be very careful because these are shot at f1.0, probably 1/30. I have to be very careful not to get an overexposed shot because I have to lower my ISO quite a fair bit because otherwise my panning shots will be overexposed. So definitely, like what Ivan mentioned earlier on, in the day you might get overexposed shots. In the night you might get overexposed shots also because I lower my shutter speed for the panning shots. So again, another panning shot. You can see how sharp it is, and how the image really pops out from background. I definitely enjoy it, even though sometimes I always worry about having to spend so much money on all these things. But I think this one, that's why I mentioned earlier on, is a no-brainer. It's something that I definitely enjoy. And this is one image I really like a lot as well. I was walking the streets. I saw this bus. It was moving slowly, but I saw a lady in the bus, and I saw the reflection of the lights and stuff like that. So at f1.0, I focus on the eye of the girl, and it's sharp, and everything just turns out nicely, and how the reflection of the light actually framed the girl in the bus, in the bigger frame of the bus. So definitely it's very good because I'm very sure if I was to use the 56mm 1.2 APD lens, it would definitely hunt a bit. And this is a moving bus, so I would not have the luxury of time to slowly focus and things like that. I have to be fast. So in terms of focusing speed, definitely fast, because a lot of people would definitely think when such a lens come out, a lot of people would think, will such a lens be good enough, fast enough for the focus? Whether focusing speed is going to be fast enough or not. So this is what I want to find out, because as a wedding photographer as well, sometimes things happen so fast. I will not have the luxury of time to, especially on the actual wedding day, I will not have the luxury of time to tell my couple to stay there, let me get the picture and whatever. Things are happening fast on the go. So to me, if the focus is fast enough, I don't have to worry so much about it. And if your equipment is good enough, you've got one less thing to worry. And these are some more images that I can share in Chinatown also. So focus on the old gentleman at the back. So you can see the back, the bokeh, the foreground blur. How is it like? And to me, like what Joseph and of course Ivan has mentioned, how creamy it can be, and some lenses, the bokeh might not be as nice, might not be interesting, but this one is definitely in a league of its own. And just to show another image of how fast the focusing can be. I anticipated, I was at Chinatown area, I anticipated this old gentleman was going to walk in front of me. And again, bad lit situation. And don't have much time to actually focus, but I just get on with the shot as well. Sharp on the spec of the old gentleman. So it was amazing. I mean, focusing has never been that easy at my previous experiences with all these fast lenses. So to me, this lens, besides being at F1.0, the focusing is definitely, to me at least, is amazing. Yeah, a lot of times people always like to ask things like, oh, is this lens fast enough? Is that lens fast enough? I guess firstly, got to see what you go shoot. And of course, as a user, we have to know how we're going to use it. Then it helps a lot. Then we will see whether the lens is going to be fast enough for us. So this is another picture that I can share.
Jordan, do you find any problem? When you focus in the night, what's it called when you do the panning shot? You use ST4 to shoot this shot, right? For the panning shot.
Using ST4. Okay. Before I go to that, for most of the pictures here, I use between ST3 and ST4. So, but for the panning shot, I was using ST4, correct?
I see. So do you on actually like the kind of like detection, face detection or whatever, those kind of like detection function?
Okay.
No.
For me, I seldom switch on the face detection for most of my pictures because I don't know about other people's experience. Because for me, sometimes I find that the auto detect always detect faces that I don't want. If I'm really at 0. So if, for example, 3%, F1.0, I'll focus on the person at the center. In the end, you focus on the one on the right or on the left. So I always try my best not to use the auto detect. I always feel that there's this problem lah. Yeah. So yeah, did not use that. Yeah. So again, this was raining. F1.0. I was just looking at the guy and focusing on the specs, the eyes, and you can see the whole. It's the mood and feel of the image, the characteristic of the lens that actually makes the difference lah. I mean, of course, yes, we can get different bokeh from different lenses and stuff like that, but it's the characteristics that makes the difference. To me, I really love how the rendition of the bokeh light and things like that, and to me, it's just something that I really enjoy a lot. So like what Ivan mentioned in his blog, he's mentioned that initially with the when it was first announced that Fuji wanted to do a f1.0 lens, it was definitely exciting. But of course, it took quite a while for this lens to be materialized, but I guess like what they say, good things gotta wait lah. So I guess having waited for a few years, right, Ivan? It was a few years already, right?
It was,
Yeah.
it was a few years. I remember doing a form filling up, like what do you want to see the 33 mm f1.0, Right. Like a few weeks later, we got cancelled.
Yeah, so it's been a few years. So I guess when it was announced that it's coming out, and when I got my hands on it, I was like, wow, okay, so exciting. So first thing I think was, what do I shoot to really test it? So of course, another shot, taken. This is very very dark in the alleys at Chinatown. After the normal hours already. So of course you have the backlit situation, but with the silhouette and stuff like that, again, like what I mentioned earlier on, it doesn't hunt that much. I actually, besides shooting all these photos and stills and stuff like that, I actually took video clips as well. But I don't have it with me now. Definitely, I'll show it share it on club ads and things like that, to show some of the video clips. And I'm sure a lot of people will agree that if you can shoot at f1.0 for a video, wow, the background blur, the pop-up is definitely amazing. Yeah, it's not just photos. If your video you can do it, is going to be so exciting for us. Yeah, I guess for
I have the image that is actually showing very similar to what I've taken in the video as well, and you can see that the bokeh is actually very creamy, and it's like those are big production kind of feel. The feel is like wow, it's like you just I think the pictures is shown onto maybe can share my screen.
okay,
This
okay.
is actually this is actually taken with the natural lighting. Yeah, and maybe can check it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so this is actually taken using the what's it called? I mean, without any LED light or no, it's just pure natural light. Yeah, so you can see that in my video that I've actually shown in the group chat. I mean the Facebook group in the Fuji club Fujifilm Club X, yes, correct. The group itself, I just shared the video also, and also in my blog as well. So you can actually see that the bokeh behind is very creamy and very soft. And the key thing about the video function, I mean, for the video itself, I find that it really, how to say, detect very well on the face, and I can actually track. So basically it's like when the model is moving, it actually tracks the face, and behind is creamy. So with the f1.0 in the low light, basically this is taken in the this is taken around 7:30 p.m. for this particular shot. But it's the same thing with the video. It's also taken during the same timing as well. Yeah. So for those people who wants to do videography, I think this is one of the must-buy lens, to be very frank. Yeah, because the kind of feel is totally different. Yeah.
Yep.
So
And uh, Joseph, you want to share? Do you have your clip with you now? Maybe you
uh,
can share the
with me, I may not be. I need to go and find maybe you can share some of your other what's it called, your other photos first while I go and find my clip. Yep.
no problem, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, for this lens, again, okay, just want to show another image of a similar scene as just now. Um, yeah, so why I say this lens is very versatile, because at 50mm, okay, initially I did ask both Joseph and Ivan about what they feel about this focal length and stuff like that, because this is about 75mm on the APS-C camera. So okay, frankly, because I'm usually a prime lens user, so I guess regardless whether I was in full frame last time or APS-C now or whatever, 75mm is not a regular focal length that I use. I have to admit that. So of course, using this lens, because to me as a travel photographer, especially somebody who uses a lot of fixed lenses, I have to visualize how I frame the picture when I see something, when I see a scene. So on a 75mm APS-C, I mean a 50mm lens on a APS-C with 75mm, it's not something that is very it's not something that is very familiar to me. So, but having said that, on this focal length, I have to say I got used to it very quickly, and I have got no issues, framing my images, getting images right, and stuff like that. So even on a image like this, although it's more of like architecture kind of image, and it turns out very nice as well. And actually, this this for this particular picture, I was shooting at f1.0 also, because I just want to take in as much ambient light as I can. And I mean, depending on the distance between me and the, of course, of point of focus, you don't really get very out of focus images at the side and stuff like that. Again, like what I mentioned earlier on when Joseph was sharing his landscape shot, his night landscape shot. Unless you're really going to print out something very big, the very hardcore landscape photographers, then yes, we would not shoot at f1.0. But reason why I shoot at f1.0 for this is also I want to take as much light as I can, and on an image like this on a screen, it still renders out quite nicely. Quite like the image and colors as well. Yep. So I have a question here, which it was asking, may I know when is the SGD price release? Okay, unfortunately, I guess we don't have the details yet.
Brightly.
Sorry?
Brightly.
We are not going to release the SGD pricing today until the two lenses are sold. Yeah, William and Ivan lenses are sold. Yeah, so
I've already given to the buyers.
So anyway, I'm sure if you guys follow Fujifilm at Singapore FB page, eventually the price will be out. And chances are, what I heard from Fujifilm is that Fujifilm Singapore is that by the end of this month, you should get a lot more details already, whether is it the pre-order, the pricing, and stuff like that. Yeah. So just want to share one more picture. This is of course a full length shot of a person, shot at f1.0. Sometimes even when I use a f1.2 lens or things like that, on a full length shot, right, of a person, the bokeh is definitely not so pronounced. To me, I find that at f1.0, even though it's a difference of 0.2, the pop up is actually very, very obvious. So I'm not sure if the viewers out there actually agree with me, but personally I do feel that it's definitely very the 3D effect is definitely there. So definitely one lens that I really love a lot. But of course, having said that, like I say, this lens is not probably not to go for lens for street photography, because in the end, street photography, if we talk about real street photography, we would not even shoot at f1.0 unless you are doing street portraiture. If you talk about real street photography, sometimes you are shooting at f1.6, f8, where we want everything to be sharp. So in the end, it depends on usage, how you want to use this lens for. To me, I mentioned earlier on, I will get this lens no brainer because of the things that I shoot. I shoot portraiture, whether is it street travel portraiture, pre-wedding shots, or even actual wedding day. To me, it's a lens that I use very often in all aspects. Okay, so ultimately, it really depends on the usage to see what really caters to your needs. Yeah. So, Joseph, do you manage to find the video?
yes, I found the video. Okay, let me stop share. I share the other screen. Okay, so yeah, basically I got it now. Okay, y'all can see, right? So this is basically the video that I've taken. I focus on the hidden switch behind, and you can see that after that, it will focus on when I touch the face of the model, it will actually focus on the model face itself. And you can actually see the autofocusing is how smooth it is, whether does it have any hunting and stuff like that. So I find that it's very smooth actually. All right, I'm going to play it now.
Yep. You're using SD3 for this, is it?
This I'm using SD4. I'm using SD4 to actually shoot this.
I
Yeah.
see.
So you can see that the model face is actually what's it called? Very nice, you know. Okay, sorry. Let me go back and then I show again. Yep. So you can see that the bokeh change. Yeah. So it's actually very nice on the face, and then you can see that the bokeh behind this is kind of like those kind of like big production kind of like lens, you know. Yeah.
I definitely agree. I was using SD4 to shoot some video stuff. To the viewers out there, I will slowly show it and share on Club Ads as well. So with SD4 and shooting video with this lens, it definitely the rendition is just beautiful. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Maybe Ivan, you can share with us some of your comparison shots with the 56mm.
Sure. One moment.
Okay.
Okay. If you're talking about comparison shot, this is actually the size between the 50mm and the 16-55. So it's about the same size, except it's about beefier between the two. All right. This is the comparison between the three lenses. So the 56 APD is actually smaller. 50 is about a lot smaller. But if you're looking at, let me see okay, this is a comparison picture between the three.
Okay.
If you can see that the left side is a 51.0. So if you talk about of course, the difference, huge difference between an F2 and an F1, but 56 APD and 50mm F1, we can already see the bokeh is it renders a lot smoother.
Yeah.
Overall feel of it. So it may be only half a stop. I mean, if 56 F1.2 non-APD is probably even greater, the differences. But at this point, we can actually see the difference. And you can see the front part of the bag is still very sharp. So I think it holds very well. So if you're into portraits, I think this lens makes a lot of difference. So I wanted to show, like William was saying, that how versatile is this lens? So if you put all the different pictures together, it actually can shoot a lot of it.
Yeah.
And you think about it, it's very versatile. Just take a look, right? Even though it's 75, if you pressure oneself to just shoot at this focal length, it's actually still versatile. As a photographer, you must know how to apply, like what William said. It's the application at the end of the day. So the tools in your hand is a very powerful tool. Good AF, WR. Weight after a while is 850 grams, but after a while when I use it, I'm quite comfortable with it. I can still feel the weight, but it's not going to hurt me, right? I don't feel that it's hindering me. But of course, if you're going to shoot whole day street with this, it is not ideal. But if you're going to shoot portrait, you're going to shoot a bit of street, bring around, I think it's still livable. So as a whole, I still think that it's a great lens to shoot. So who wants to buy my APD?
Yeah, mine will be cheaper because mine is in the worst condition.
Yeah. So I enjoy using this lens. So for those who are looking to get into portraits, to me, it's still it's the gold standard. If you are into portraiture, this is a must. Whether you shoot it not really the studio to me, but maybe on location. Like maybe for William, he goes like far north or some God-forsaken place, I don't know where, shoot a portrait of a local person there. I think such lens would be beautiful. It works very well. Probably in snow, probably you need the ND filter. Other than that, I think this lens is amazing.
Yeah, I guess I've seen a lot of videos from the international photographers as well. I guess one consensus everybody is that they were amazed about the focusing speed.
Yes.
I guess F1.0 is really the only lens at F1.0 which is autofocus, and a lot of people are quite amazed, how good the focusing is.
Do you
Yeah,
do you own the 90 mm f2?
I used before, but I don't own it. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think it's about the same speed as the 90?
Okay, I have to admit that's a tough question on me because I don't use the 90 very often.
Right.
So I don't use it often enough to be able to, say how different it is. But
I using the 50 mm f2. I
uh,
felt just a little bit slower. That's about it. Just a tad
okay.
slower than the 50 mm f2, which is a very fast lens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So for this size and this amount of glass in it, this lens is fast.
Yep. I have to agree. I mean, again, a lot of people always say, "Oh, fast enough or not," etc., etc. But the question is always on what basis? What are you going to compare with?
True.
Yeah, if you go compare with the fastest lens available in the market now, then of course this is then probably slow. But in the end, whatever you shoot, whichever genre you shoot, as long as it caters your needs, I guess that's always good enough. Like even for Joseph, myself, we shoot wildlife. Sometimes people always ask things like, "Oh, whether Fuji lenses, Fuji cameras are fast enough or not." I say yes, I got my shots. I mean, of course, you compare to competitive brands and stuff like that. Yes, yeah, if you compare like that, maybe those are faster. But is it good enough for you? Is it fast enough for you? Yes. You
The
get my
key
shot.
thing is that whether you get a shot or not, that's the thing. I can use a slower focusing lens, but I'm able to get my shot. So because I know how my lens actually works, I think that's the main thing. So you have to know how your lens actually works and what is the range that it can work best. I think you have to understand your lens. That's what I feel.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question that just came in. The question was, how is the AF noise for video compared to 56mm f1.2 or 50mm f2? Um,
I can actually share on the 56mm f1.2 compared to the 50mm f1 because I actually tried using once only, okay, for the 56mm. So I find that the 56mm, it has the kind of like when I shoot it, the motor actually feels a bit, how to say, you can feel the motor vibrating. I mean, the sound is actually louder. But for the 50mm f1, it doesn't have that kind of feel. So it's actually quite smooth. So I find that Fuji has probably upgraded the motor in the new lens basically. I mean, this is my feel because I actually try out one time only. Yeah, so that is my feel on that. Yeah, correct.
okay.
I don't video, but just a question. I thought usually people who does videos don't switch on the autofocus. They always do
Normally
it.
they don't. Normally they do manual focus.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But the thing is that if let's say it's a F1 and you go and do a tracking, probably you need to turn on the autofocus. Yeah.
Uh, Ivan, anything to add on this?
We accept all major credit cards, American Express. Swipe it. That's all.
Okay. Anyway, for me, um, okay, I find that the AF noise for this lens, okay, I would say it's not something that I find that it's something that is negligible lah. Yeah, I mean compared to a 56mm, okay, I don't have a 50mm f2, and
Are you referring to
I
video or are you referring to photographies?
video.
No, it's something a video. It's a video. Yeah.
So the person was asking about the AF noise for video. Yeah,
So whether you have the the kind of like hunting sound. Yeah.
correct. Okay, I did not pay much focus on it, but I have to say it's not something that I take notice of. Like, if it's not something that I take notice of, probably doesn't bother me too much. Yeah. So compared to 56mm f1.2, even then, like say, doesn't really bother me too much. Anyway, for video, usually when I shoot,
We'll have a voiceover or music to cover it. So
yeah, right.
yeah.
Well, I don't even take the ambient noise as much. So yeah, it's not something that is it's not something that I take note of lah, unfortunately. Yeah. So, but like I say, in the end, with all new equipment, when the showroom is, when the lens is available at the showroom, um, definitely, don't just listen to all that we have been sharing. You guys should go down and have a look and experience for yourself to see, whether we are selling koyuk or not.
Yeah, try out for yourself. I think the best thing is to go down to the showroom and sometimes try out for yourself and play with it, and you will know that whether what we say is true or not. Basically, yeah.
Yep. So okay, I think we are good. We are good, and unless there are more questions coming in, but otherwise, to wrap up, uh, Ivan, any last words besides the credit card?
I think to wrap up, it's very simple. Both William and myself shoot portraits, and we both own the 56 APD, which is a great camera, a great lens, sorry. And we are both letting it go for a reason, because we felt that the 50mm, to me, renders better, a lot sharper, autofocus is faster, and also the hit rate is a lot better. That alone, right, supersedes the extra few hundred grams to me. That alone is enough. How about you?
Joseph?
Okay, for me, I'm standing on the video point of view. Okay, I find that the for this lens is actually very good for videographers who wants to shoot videos that has those kind of like a bouquet, kind of like creamy kind of effect, like those in the Korean drama and stuff like that. So you will get that kind of feel basically, and the focusing is actually very good, even in backlight. When I take photos, even in the backlight, so you are able to actually focus it quite correctly and very fast. The key is that it doesn't really go into the hunting mode, so where you will always get that kind of focus, cannot focus, the kind of feel. I think for videography itself, the key thing is that you do not want to have that kind of experience, especially when you are doing the work. I mean, for amateur, not for professional. All professional, they will use manual focus. But for amateur, normally we just do a touch screen, then we want to track the face. So you do not want to have that kind of hunting feel. So this is actually very, very good. For me, I recommend to all the videographers who wants to have the kind of creamy effect on your video. This is a must. Yeah.
Okay, for me, I guess both Ivan and Joseph have already shared a lot, which I second, what they have said. But in the end, regardless whether is it video or photos, I guess to me what's very important is always the low light, because it's in the course of my work, I do a lot of low light photography, videography, and stuff like that. So this is definitely something that is amazing. I use the word amazing because it really helps a lot in my work. Yeah. So well, I'm sure you guys will have seen a lot of can actually have access to a lot of the videos shared by the international photographers as well. For myself, I'll definitely be sharing some more videos on Club S as well to also show the experience with this lens. Then yep. So otherwise, if there's no more question, I think we are good for tonight. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight for this broadcast. And yeah, then I have to show. Okay, this is a 50mm. Yeah, and this is my 56 definitely. Yeah, so very bad shape. Yeah. So
So remember to credit card, all right? Yeah. So we have credit card that is strapped. Yeah, at Suntec City.
sure. So
Thank you everybody for joining us. I hope all of you had fun. I hope we have give you some information in helping all of you to have some clarity in whether this lens suits you. Every lens has its purpose, so just have a look, like what William said. Also, look at international photographers, review on it. The most important thing, just go down to the showroom when it's available, try yourself, make your own decision.
yep. And of course, thank you very much to Fujifilm Singapore for having us tonight as well. And for you guys out there, the viewers out there, if you guys have any other questions, do feel free to put it in the Facebook as well. And if you guys want to see us online, for any other topics or whatever, just drop a message at Fujifilm Facebook page, Fujifilm Singapore Facebook page, and we'll try to arrange something. And not forgetting, there are quite a number of X-Photographers, in Singapore with all different genres. So let us know what you guys would like to see, because of course we cannot have a big group, attending a workshop in Suntec due to all the social distancing. But we can always do online. So let us know all your thoughts and desires. Then we'll see you guys again. And okay, thanks to Joseph and Ivan as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Willard. Thank you, Ivan.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.